us for this historic look back and then fast forward, look to now, and then back and forth as we compare those perspectives. Tonight we have two fantastic people who are here to facilitate that conversation with you. We're going to introduce our governor and our founder, Woodbridge Nathan Ferris, who lived an extraordinary life from 1853 until 1928. Many of you know he was an achieved man, and among those achievements, obviously, as noted on the statute, educator, statesman, and humanitarian. But why those words? Why were they selected? Well, for starters, you know he founded Big Rapids Industrial School, later named the Ferris Institute, now Ferris State University, with his wife Helen in 1884. But did you know he served as the president of Big Rapids Savings and Loan Bank, which is now known as Chemical Bank, from 1902 until his death? Did you know he ran for Congress? Lost. Did you know he ran for governor? Lost. Then ran for governor and won twice. In 1912, which we're celebrating his inauguration, which would have taken place on January 13, and again in 1914, which he would have started serving in 15. He was also, did you know, a one-time candidate for President of the United States of America. He was elected to the United States Senate in 1922 and served until his death until 1928.
I'd like to thank Mr. Mishler, Governor Ferris, for being here, and for you turning out this evening in some rather inclement weather. And maybe it's by coincidence or by design, as we speak, Governor Snyder is giving his State of the State address in Lansing. And it's maybe with those thoughts in mind, Governor Ferris, that I welcome you to 2013. And although it's been 100 years since you were sworn in, while there's been many changes over the years, some things have remained the same. People still look to their elected leaders to cooperate with each other for the common good. However, it seems to me that party differences on a state and national level have taken priority over serving the public. In 2013, it's discouraging when people have to wait and see if the country's going to go over a fiscal cliff, if a government's going to shut down because it can't pay its debts, or if a community will be told that an emergency financial manager is coming to town. The good news is that the Big Rapids community has done well over the last 100 years because we appreciate each other and we understand the value of cooperation. City commissioners run on a nonpartisan ballot, allowing us to listen to all points of view without being bound to follow a political party's mandate. Local governments cooperate with each other to improve our community rather than waiting for Lansing or Washington to come to our aid. Your university has been a rallying point, helping us to pull together because we realize that what's good for the university is also good for Big Rapids. The task will be to continue to succeed and see whether we can weather the storms that go on around us.
As I look at my times in 1913, for me, a priority starting place for my concern and efforts include the very systems and structures that define our system of governance. Since the secrecy of our ballot is the foundation of our liberty, the law wisely provides that this should remain inviolate. Today, in 1913, our present primary law violates these fundamental principles by providing that every voter shall tell the town board to which party he belongs. He is publicly then recorded as such a partisan, then his name is sent to Lansing as such a partisan. Additionally, he can change this label only on certain days of the year as provided by law. This provision should be repealed. Further, I suggest that the registration day and primary decision day be one and the same. This would ensure full attendance at the primary vote. All party tickets should be printed on one ballot, the voter marking one ticket only in the booth. By having registration day and the primary vote on the same day, thousands of dollars could be saved. We should also work to give the people the initiative and referendum to amend the Constitution and make laws by giving them a single and secret ballot and a primary law to nominate and elect their public servants by giving them the recall to discharge unworthy and misrepresentative public officials. By doing so, you place in their hands the necessary tools whereby they can easily get such reform legislation as they desire. The above are the fundamental things that should take precedence over all legislation if we are to have in this state a government truly of, for, and by the people. The most important of these measures is the initiatives and referendums. This system has been adopted by nearly 1/3 of the states in the Union. But in 1/2 of these, the system is ineffective because of some joker inserted in the amendment. A constitutional provision should be submitted providing for the recall of all executive, legislature, and administrative officials. The petition for the recall should not require that more than 25% of the voters of the district vote for this. The percentage has the approval of all of the authorities that look into this subject. The present home rule law should be amended so as to give all cities in Michigan home rule to the fullest extent permissible under the law. Particularly, should the law be amended so as to provide for the recall of all municipal officials and direct legislation by initiative petitions signed by not less than 10% of the electors. Also, for the separation of municipal elections from the general November elections. Mr. Mayor, I think we would all be interested to learn of your perspective on the matters of elections, local and otherwise, governance structures, and the power of engaged citizens to take greater control of their matters.
Thank you, Governor. Even today, 100 years later, from the time of your inauguration, efforts continue by some to affect or restrict the right of others to vote. Voting should be inclusive of all, not exclusive to a few. Media choices today allow for a more informed electorate. Traditional medias like newspaper and radio continue, but now they're accompanied by cable television, the internet, smartphones, and things known as blogs and Twitter. Still, getting more people to exercise their right to vote remains elusive. Results from last November's general election show that only half of the registered voters in Big Rapids actually went to the polls. I might disagree with you somewhat about initiatives, referendums, ballot proposals, and recalls. 6 proposals were on the ballot here in Michigan last November, and all failed to pass after a significant amount of time and money was spent. Recalls can cast a cloud over the community affected by them. To help voters, we do make absentee ballots available in certain situations. Those could be expanded on and be given broader availability. We review voting locations in an effort to make polling places more accessible and safe. In fact, our city clerk has recommended, and the city commission will consider, changes to voting precincts and locations before the next general election. I can agree with you, Governor, that the more people get involved and participate, the better the outcome for all.
Governor and Mr. Mayor, as we've kind of come to the end of our remaining moments in our time tonight, we'd like to offer each of you the opportunity to conclude your addresses with a final statement. And of course, we'll begin with you, Governor.
Thank you, Jeremy. Mayor Warba and honored guests. Your interest, attention, and interaction tonight have been most gracious and reinstill in me a warm feeling of satisfaction and pride that I hold dear for our great campus in this wonderful community of Big Rapids. I can only imagine that many of you wonder, in fact perhaps grouse even, about the motives, effectiveness, and accountability of your elected leaders, past and present. I don't blame you, because it's a perspective that led me to raise my hand and my voice, and now here stand before you as governor. I've long believed that when a human being ceases to do constructive thinking, ceases to find a new and better way of living, he is dead as a corpse in a cemetery. But tonight you are here, participating with a politically centered discussion which tells me you care. It tells me you are willing to engage. And it tells me that you are willing to initiate yourselves into the ever-evolving solutions to the challenges of our times. Your efforts will make a difference, and for your willingness to raise your hand in the classrooms of life and our society, I am eternally proud, and I am eternally grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mishler, and thank you, Governor Ferris. 5 years before you took office as governor, and 50 years after you were sworn in as governor, Michigan's constitutions of 1908 and 1963 provided that religion, morality, and knowledge, being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. And I think we've tried to follow that, given the lead that you provided us with, Governor Ferris. In 2009, I was invited to represent the city of Big Rapids as Ferris State University marked its 125th anniversary. On September 1st of 1884, Mr. Ferris opened the Big Rapids Industrial School on South Michigan Avenue here in Big Rapids. As I thought about what to say back then, I asked this question. If he was faced with the same choices today, would Mr. Ferris again choose Big Rapids as home for his family and his school? Then as now, I believe the answer would be yes, because Big Rapids has said yes to Ferris over the last 128 years. The Big Rapids community has embraced the institution of higher education that Mr. Ferris founded, so much so that one would not exist without the other. And the names of Ferris and Big Rapids have become synonymous. So this evening, as we celebrate Mr. Ferris's inauguration as governor of Michigan in 1913, I want to again thank him and Mrs. Ferris for making Big Rapids their home. And I invite all the citizens of Big Rapids to join me in saying yes to Ferris now and in the future as we continue to advance Mr. Ferris's mission of making the world a better place. Thank you.